It's hard to lump religion, which comes in many different forms, shapes, sizes, and viewed many ways by different people, in a single framework. Ultimately, I think religion is a net negative force for humanity, because what it does, at least organized religion around the world, is it implies things about the real world that are just not true, that are in disagreement with the evidence of empirical testing and science. And while they may provide comfort to people, inevitably, whenever you make decisions based on something that's a myth, the decisions lead to bad consequences. Whether you're teaching children or subjugating women. So religion, of course, at various times in human history for individuals provides comfort. It has provided opportunities for groups to sometimes do progressive things, but inevitably it's based on myth and superstition, based on ideas created by Iron Age peasants who didn't even know the Earth orbited the sun. And ultimately, why we should view that as wisdom is beyond me. The saddest part that's characteristic of everything, including the Koran, and I don't want to label just the Koran in this regard, because I think it's characteristic in the Old Testament and the New Testament and the Abrahamic religions, is the xenophobia that religion introduces. It's us versus them. We are absolutely right because we believe this or because we follow these traditions, and other people are absolutely wrong because they don't. And then the question is, what do you do to the people who are wrong because they're not part of your group? Well, in many cases, you kill them, or you ostracize them, or you send them to hell. No one mentions hell more than Jesus. Supposedly he was a loving Savior, but he uses the word hell more than anyone else in the Bible. So that's the same kind of xenophobia. In fact, it's worse in my mind. As my late friend Christopher Hitchens would say, Saddam Hussein only condemned his victims to violence and death until they died. What about a God who condemns you to eternal pain forever? Far worse than a Saddam Hussein in the sky. So I think the kind of xenophobia, the fact that people who don't conform are to be ostracized or killed, is prevalent in every religion, and I can understand it because these religions were based in some sense of preserving order within a tribe. They're all outgrowths of tribal behavior. To preserve order within a tribe, it's always us versus them. Here are rules that define you as a Christian or a Jew or a Muslim. You do those rules and you're distinguishable from the other, and the other is to be swept away. Now, in the current world, I think there's no doubt that right now Islam is a source of more violence than a number of the other organized religions. It's not the unique source of violence, but I think the problem is just one of timing. Islam is 500 years younger than say, Christianity. And 500 years ago, Christianity was producing far more violence than Islam ever is today, from the Crusades to the Inquisition. And so it's not surprising that a younger religion, in some sense, is coming through its growing pains in that regard. The problem is we live in a time where there's access to much more destructive forces, so you've got to worry a little bit about that. Ultimately, the real problem, the real difference that I see between Islam and say, Judaism, I mean, the Old Testament is it's more violent than the Koran. It's full of violence, oppression, genocide, hatred. It's an awful book, and it's amazing that we present it as a moral standard. If you actually read the Bible, it's a disgusting document. There's beauty in the Psalms and the poetry of the Psalms, perhaps, but it's every bit as violent, if not more so, than the Koran. The fundamental difference, it seems to me, is that we've learned, even highly religious people take the Bible allegorically. So they take it. They don't. When it says you can stone your children if they disobey you, no one takes that seriously anymore. The difference is that many people take the Koran, every word of the Koran, as not only divine, but literally. And therefore, when it exhorts you to violence, they take that literally. That's not done anymore in the older religions, in the Abrahamic religions. The Bible still says to do those awful things, but people don't take it seriously. In fact, when we talk about religion in general, many people call themselves religious because if they think if they don't, they're not good people. My friend Richard Dawkins has his foundation in England did a poll. It looked after the most recent census in England, which happens to ask what your religious affiliation is. For the first time, only 53% of people said they were Christian, or about that number. But they took the people who listed Christian in the box and said, do you believe in the virgin birth? Do you believe in transubstantiation? Do you believe in and the whole list of things that are sort of standard parts of Christianity? Most of those people said no. And then they were asked, why did you check the tick that said you're Christian? And in the end, they said, we like to think of ourselves as good people. And that's what seems to me the thing that we have to overcome the most, is people recognizing that you can be a good person by accepting reality for what it is and questioning everything, including questioning the existence of God. There's nothing wrong with that. I get letters from kids all the time who say, you know, I'm happy to read your books or see the movie you've just done because it tells me I'm not alone. I'm not a bad person for questioning what my elders or pastor or teacher say. In fact, we should be encouraging our children to question everything. It's part of education.